Alright, bonus episode of Much Brew About Nothing. I can't resist. We had to do kobolds for our actual Much Brew. But I also really wanted to play the free win red deck because I love this deck, and it's rare for me that I actually play a deck a lot. I'm always bouncing from one deck to the next deck to the next deck. So getting the opportunity to really play a deck a bunch and actually feel competent with it, and like I know the lines and the matchups, makes me want to do a league with this deck. And I probably was going to play this league anyway just because I really like the deck. So I figured might as well record it, put it up as a bonus episode of Much Brew. A bonus episode that begins with us mulliganing a zero lander. Yeah, we can't keep that. This hand, I think we keep on the strength of Faithless Looting and a Scry. We get to put a land to the bottom. Koth. I think we gotta put Koth to the bottom for now. Don't really want a Planeswalker yet. Opponent has Polluted Delta. Okay. So we hopefully don't draw, well, another Planeswalker. Let's play the Mountain and Faithless Looting. Discard a land and a land. Pass the turn. So no lock pieces, unfortunately. But depending on what our opponent does, we could turn to a Chandra. Swamp for our opponent. And passes. Well, since our opponent did nothing, we're going to do this. Exile Spirit Guide. Exile Spirit Guide. Play a Chandra. Tick up the Chandra. Put our opponent down to 17. Pass the turn. And we're hoping we can just ride the Chandra to victory now. And still not sure what our opponent's on. Hopefully it's not 8-rack. Good lord, that would be bad. Black-red. Knight's Whisper. Oh, okay. So we really want an Ensnaring Bridge, I think. We will Magma Jet to get the Scry. Does 2 damage anyway. Mountain to the bottom. Let's keep looting on top. Play the Mountain. Pass the turn. So I'm guessing this is a Grishoalbrand deck, which could be bad. Unless we find an Ensnaring Bridge. We could just, like, die. Opponent has Faithless Looting. Manamorphose Borborgamos. Exiles the Spirit Guide. Nourishing Shoal. Gains a bunch of life. Oh, are they splicing? Splices Agorio's Vengeance. Gets back Borborgamos. Probably going to kill our Chandra. Kills our Chandra. And away goes Borborgamos. Well, let's Faithless Looting. Discard Anger. Discard, I guess, Blood Moon here. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn. Opponent has a second Faithless Looting. Well, this might be a bad matchup for us. Our opponent doesn't seem to care about Blood Moon. And doesn't need much mana to win. They have just another looting. Blackcleave Cliffs. Opponent passes. Now let's flashback a Faithless Looting. Discard Anger and Lightning Bolt. Play a Mountain. Play Chalice on 1. Pass the turn. This does not stop us from losing to Through the Breach. It does make it so our opponent can't just keep flashing back Faithless Looting. Well, there's another Chandra. So tick up Chandra. There's another Chandra. Pass the turn. Opponent passes. We still would like a bridge. Take up Chandra. Play the land. Pass the turn. Opponent's still at 20 thanks to that Nourishing Shoal. Opponent passes. Take up Chandra. Play the land. Pass the turn. Oh dear. That's a lot of nothing in a row. There's a land for our opponent. And passes. Let's tick up Chandra. Cast Magus to the Moon. Pass the turn. Still worried about Through the Breach. Tap land for our opponent. Do we draw a non-land? Do we draw a land? Oh, play the Mountain. Get in with Magus. Ultimate our Chandra. Flashback Faithless Looting. Gonna get countered, but we still get the Chandra trigger. Hit our opponent down to 11. And pass the turn. Magma Jet actually lets us kill a Griselbrand? Or it lets us kill our opponent if we survive one more turn. And Emrakul does not just straight up kill us. We have random stuff we can sack. Alright, so Magma Jet our opponent. Hit him with Chandra. Alright. Well, opponent scoops it up. We're going to keep the Desperate Rituals on top and just use them as lightning axes. 2 mana lightning axes. So the big one here is Relic of Progenitus. This is a matchup I haven't actually played hardly at all. But Relic seems like the big one. Going down Anger of the Gods, Lightning Bolt, and Magma Jets. We could also bring in a Needle to deal with Griselbrands. Go down Spirit Guides. Or no. Magus of the Moon. Not Spirit Guide. Witchbane Orb doesn't really... Probably isn't good enough. Let's go down another Magus of the Moon for Magma Jet. And maybe even a Blood Moon. Blood Moons just didn't feel that good. Now let's try it like this. Like I said, I haven't really played this matchup, so I'm not sure how it plays out. Except for the fact that... Well, we got a Relic. Except for the fact that... Blood Moon isn't good, and our best matchups are ones where Blood Moon is good. We're going to keep this mostly on the strength of Relic. Temple of Malice for our opponent. And passes. Well, let's just Mountain and Faithless Looting. Discard a Mountain and a Mountain. Pass the turn. We wouldn't really be able to protect ourselves with Relic on turn 1 anyway. Because if they get cards in the graveyard, it's going to be... Well, this is probably on Chandra. And we don't really have a way of beating that. So we're going to need to depend on Koth to win the game. Opponent passes. There's a bridge, though. So let's just Relic of Progenitus, play a Mountain, pass the turn. Opponent exiles a Spirit Guide, and wow, Knight's Whispers off the Spirit Guide. They really are looking for lands. Let's exile a card from our opponent's graveyard. They also went down a Spirit Guide to do that. Pass the turn. There's a Blood Moon. Well, Mountain and Blood Moon. Pass the turn. Gonna make it a bit harder for our opponent to cast... Never mind. I was gonna say Goryo's Vengeance. We have a tricky Spirit Guide here, so if our opponent tries to go all in, thinking they're safe because we don't have mana, Spirit Guide can actually still get our opponent. There's a Mountain, so let's Faithless Looting. Discard... Mountain. Do we literally have no way of getting this off the battlefield? I think that is true. So Mountain and Chandra. Play a Mountain. Play Ensnaring Bridge. Pass the turn. Ensnaring Bridge is a good way to shut down our opponent using Through the Breach to put something horrible into play. Bloodstained Mire for our opponent. There's Faithless Looting. Is our opponent going for it? We can still do the Simian Spirit Guide trick if we need to. It doesn't discard much of anything. Follows up with Collective Brutality. Alright. Caesar, not much. Well, exile a card from our opponent's graveyard. Pyretic Ritual. Well, let's cast Spirit Guide. And pass the turn. I guess we can play the Mountain. Yeah, let's play the Mountain, pass the turn. Opponent flashes back Faithless Looting. Okay. We have a couple Faithless Lootings to churn through our deck. Discards, Borborygmos, and Collective Brutality. Well, keep exiling. And let's get in with our Spirit Guide. Cast another Spirit Guide. Our clock is increasing. Oh, we gotta go on the ape beatdown plan. Opponent has another Faithless Looting. And flashes back Faithless Looting. Sure. Not sure what our opponent's looking for exactly, but something. No, keep exiling. Not that it's going to do much at this point, but might as well. Desperate Ritual. So let's get in with our Spirit Guides. Flashback a Faithless Looting. Discard our Rituals. And pass the turn. Opponent's down to 12. Opponent passes. Well, exile another card. Second Relic is actually pretty good. So let's get in with our Spirit Guides. Opponent goes with Nourishing Shoal to gain some life. Oh, okay. They're splicing, so we got exile the graveyards, get rid of the Borborygmos. Opponent still gains a bunch of life, though. Play a mountain. Play a relic. And pass the turn. Did our opponent not gain life? I'm so confused. Oh, they didn't. Okay, they didn't gain life. What's our opponent have? Through the breach. Sure. Should not be able to attack through our Ensnaring Bridge. It's a Griselbrand. Draws to 1, and in response, we will Magma Jet. And that does it! Well, sort of a weird matchup, but we free won our way past Grishoalbrand, even with a needle on our Chandra, so sweet.